Hey, Dorcas. Could you do me a favor this time? Pin a little different comment or different. Yeah. Do me a favor. Type out Captain Kedger. All, all one word, no spaces. Capitalize C. Capitalize the K, but no spaces, and KEDGEALOT on Star Maker. It's an app. That's my profile on Star Maker app. Because I want to share a little bit of a different side of me. Yeah, but go on Star Maker app instead of at, because I don't want people to think it's a at address that they can just put together and click on. Open up some view here. Now that the thunderstorm's passed, I think, mostly. Got a little drizzle now. Yeah, that's it. Oh man, show the whole. No, Dorcas, actually do that again, but take out the word support and just put on Star Maker. I'm not looking to be supported on there. I'm just looking to let people hear me sing. So if they want to go do karaoke or something on their phone, it's like a karaoke app for your phone. And don't be shy, folks, like most of the singers on it are horrible. Yeah, that's the one. And then if somebody comes in chatting and wants to kick down to the channel, you know, we can always switch the message. But I'm not getting a bunch of, you know, donations on YouTube. I don't really have enough. Like, my nephew's got more animal content on his Facebook page. You know, that kid gets more content going out in his backyard than I do out here sometimes. Mostly because I sit a lot and just go to work. And, let me see. Ruh-roh, what's going on here? It must be just the... Oh, my Peltier unit just ran gas. Okay, the main fan's still running. Hold that phone. I have another option. I just bought this battery. I don't know how much power is on it, but I'll let that go ahead and charge what else I can get out of the sun today and tomorrow. And then I'll go ahead and take these leads over here, plug them into the new battery, which God knows how long that'll last, because I don't even know if it's been charged or what. But let's see. Whoop, right back up. There we go. Aha. All right, let me see. Oh, welcome here, Ed. Can I call you Ed? Because I'm guessing you don't go by Ward. Alrighty. Yeah, you'd have to check out. I got maybe 100 or so videos of me just kind of showing what I'm doing, where I started this whole adventure like 4 years ago. Oh, yeah, I didn't know ward was a bad word. Is that a bad ward? No, a ward is like someone who protects. Like, it's a protector of someone. Like a princess might be sent across the territory and she'll have a ward go with her to make sure they ward off any predators or attackers. Oh, I don't know about what the F and B. I use the F word quite a bit, but I'm a sailor. You know, like, I think it's kind of like required to be a sailor. But I don't think it's really bad until you start directing it at someone. Like, the N word, there's no way to really say that without it directing either at someone specifically or at a whole bunch of people. I'm too white to say shit like that, and, unless I'm really friends with somebody and I got a real big smile on my face and we got a good freaking relationship going. Like, nah. No, you ain't got to worry about me, like, ever using that in a derogatory way to anybody. Well, maybe a white guy. like I might say that to a racist white guy just because it's his idea of a deeper insult. Just to like put him on a level with the people that he hates the most. It wouldn't make sense for me to say it to a black guy. That would just detract from whatever point I had. It just discredit my freaking whole point. Because nobody listens to, like, you hear somebody talking some racist shit, you might as well just put the dunce cap on them. They're stupid. Oh. I don't, Dorcas, I have a fractured vertebrae in my lower back, and I have several herniated discs. So let me tell you about pain in the lower back. Let me tell you about some pain in the lower back. About getting, I was on foot and got rear-ended by a Cadillac and bent over the hood backwards, right in the lower back. and then plowed across the parking lot in a hit and run. And that was in my early 20s. I had to freaking, the weird thing is I was able to freaking get back up and walk home, but I've never been the same since. Like, I don't know what, some kind of adrenaline or something, but it's been re-injured many times since then. Like, I think luckily for me, man, I had really strong core strength at the time. Like, I was doing some serious workouts every day, all, like heavy duty core strengthening workouts every day for years. So I think that's the only reason I was ever able to walk again. Because, it's like my muscles had to make up for what the spine couldn't support without allowing my spinal cord to be severed. Oh, yeah, I haven't been. I've just the last day or two, I've been just so overwhelmed and behind schedule, and man, my boat's such a mess. And, after putting this cooler together, and last night I ran out of power, so I figured out where the max limit of power usage is on this cooling system, So that tells me I need to make it a little more efficient, and in order to install the other cooler on the other side, I'm gonna have to have another, probably 2 more solar panels, like 100-watt 24-volt solar panels, which means I probably need 1 more regulator. That's like $200-300 between the freaking panels, a regulator, and wiring. And then I can start building another little more battery bank. I went ahead and grabbed 1 more 7.5 amp hour battery to add to this small bank. But I just think, I'm getting into the realms of, I don't want to have more battery power than what my panels can keep charged, or they end up being dead and not holding a charge if they go too long without a charge that way, So right now I got a lot of batteries to charge and not enough panels to charge them all at once. Got a lot of devices to charge and not enough cords to plug them all in at once. So I actually kind of want to redo the whole electric system on this boat. I want to move the batteries away from the back end and to take a bunch of weight off the back end of this trimaran and put it toward the center, to help balance the boat. I think it'll hold more structural integrity if I just have a little less weight on this back end anyway. But anyway, just little thoughts I've been putting into this. Let me show you my janky ass cooling system here. Remember the old box fan I had? That's the one that broke my nose. That one busted my face open. Didn't break my nose, but it hit the freaking bridge of my nose. Anyway, this is a Peltier unit, and it's not even sealed into the cooler yet. Like, I gotta put some sealant here and insulate this wall. And this wall is gonna get built up anyway. So there'll be a step up here of fiberglass. So I just put this fan here because I broke the 5-inch fan. So I put this little box fan rechargeable here, and I just run a USB to charge it until I can get another 5-inch fan here. And I started running some copper tubing through the fins. And I know you can't see, the ends are pinched off, but those are going to get little capillary tubes going from each one into I'm going to make a radiator built into these cooling fins and have it pump and cycle water down into the water below the boat to cool this much faster. Having this better insulated will stop a bunch of the air leaks. I've got desiccant packs in the bottom of this, but anyway, here's the intake fan that starts the whole thing drawing in here. It hits the cooling fins underneath it, and then there's a chamber here with an insulated divider that stops before the end of the duct. And then there's a wall there, an upright wall, that causes this chamber to have to fill with cold air at the bottom and push the hot air out the top and spill over that wall, where it passes down through more cooling fins, which are just heat sinks. And then it draws around underneath this duct through another set of heat sinks, and then it hits a wall again that it has to climb up over to fill this chamber down here before it can build up enough cold in here to spill over and start pulling heat from this side. Okay, so the whole thing ultimately comes under my steering bar and under the deck here, which this deck isn't built yet, and tees down into this outlet here where cold air is blowing out right here. And all of this foam has aluminum lining on the inside. Okay, so then I take this fan, this little 5-volt fan, desk fan, and pull some air out of there and direct it down into my bed, which is getting a little unhinged there. This is my foam lining that's like 4 layers thick. And then here's my switch panel where my charging system for the other battery banks is, 2 rechargeable lamps. And so the idea is to build another identical duct on the other side over here with an identical cooling unit on its own battery bank. Okay, and then build a duct between them in the back there with a lid on the top. So the idea is to have 2 cooling units with their own battery banks, their dedicated solar panels, both feeding to a little cooler where I can put some food, and I can duct all that food, the cold air, to sit in with that food and build up thermal mass. When I have a top loader on it, I open it, it doesn't let all the cold air out, you know. I close it up and cold air builds up in there, and whatever excess spills over the top of those walls works its way down and cools all the heat sinks in these ducts. And then it hits at the very end, there's another little 2-inch wall that it has to fill up that chamber and then spill over that. And in that chamber, there's a drain and a bunch of desiccant packs. Now, every time I get a package, like a new pair of shoes or something with some desiccant in it, or even a pack of jerky or something, you know, whatever you get with a little desiccant pack, I take it and toss it in that little bin at the very end before the duct spills out into my bed, right at that final ledge. And I can just switch it out by hand whenever I want. Okay. Now, eventually, I'm going to take this small fan, this little computer fan that you saw here. I want to get the full-size 5-inch fan and install it just on the inside of the duct rather than the outside. Put a little grate in the front of it, which I have already made right here. And then I want to make a little tray in front of that intake where I can drop a HEPA filter in between this and the fan. Put this, actually will go on the outlet to create more pressure, so it'll have like a a steadier high pressure steam. It goes from a bigger area to a smaller area. Right at the end, it kind of turns it into a nozzle, you know, instead of having to pull it with this other fan on the other side. But anyway, the whole system needs some more computer fans, and I'm gonna need some thermal switch on it. I'm gonna need all kinds of more shit to get it really up to standard. Right now it's just kind of a little nice reprieve from, you know, just freaking steady ball open sun killing me and roasting me here. It's a little better than having just some shade and some fans, you know. But I can actually get it. Yes, Maxwell, I can actually get it. The goal is to where I can have this whole cockpit cooled enough for me and somebody in front, and still sit up in your, like, I can sit, I'm sitting in my bed in my shorts, but my upper half is in the sunny warm. So it's kind of like a hot and cold. If I'm sitting up, I'm half hot and half cold. But when I lay down, it's cold down in this bed chamber. So it's kind of weird how the whole boat just traps the cold air from the bottom and pushes the hot air up and out, and there is no top on it. It's just an open system. Of course, that open system pulls in a lot of moisture from the air because of the humidity. So that means my AC actually may end up being a water maker too. But at the very least, look, you haven't even begun to see what this thing's going to do for me. Because, okay, check it out. I take these dual Peltier units, and I got the copper cooling tubes going through them. That can be cycled down into the water below the boat, or it could be cycled up and cycle my shower water through it and dishwater. So the Peltier units will be, while my storage water is, like, say in the winter, running this thing for heat, I can reverse the heat flow too. I can warm the boat with them by just reversing the polarity. Okay, but I can also redirect this water to heat my shower water or rain catchment water, just to warm it up so in the winter it's nice and warm when I want to take a shower, you know. So this thing is, while that shower water will be cooling my boat and warming itself, which, you know, even in the summer it's nice when it's hot out. You don't want to get into some water that's shockingly cold that just came from a cold pipe either. You know, you kind of want something that's like maybe a little cooler than outside temperature, but, you know, not hard to get under that stream. You know what I mean? It just makes the whole operation much more pleasant. So I'll be able to cool and warm water with this unit. And it's just a cheap little, like, this is stuff you can put together with parts you get on Amazon, or just I took all these scraps. That's the thing. The reason it looks like crap right now is because I didn't buy any of the parts. This is all stuff I scrapped off of an old broke down AC unit. That's where I got the copper tubing. See, look, I'm still stripping crusted old aluminum fins off the copper tubing. I got to straighten it out piece by piece and then flatten it with pliers to fit between the fins. And then I'm going to have to solder the U's into them. So it's an extensive project, but each, you know, it's like, it's kind of cool because I can already start using it now before it's done. You know, and like playing around with it, figuring out how much power it's going to draw, and, you know, how much battery power I'll need to store for that, and, you know. But it's awesome that I can run that off solar and still have house power and lights, you know, phone charged. an old car. I have restored old cars, man. Man, I restored a 1965 Chevy pickup that's still to this day running with all the original parts. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. I restored a 1973 Ford Mustang with all original parts. Well, no, that's not true. The original engine block and intake, all that, mostly original. You know. But Ultra, why would I restore? Fuck that. Fuck restoring an old car. You know what? If you got the money to restore an old car, let's just open a shop and build a new car from scratch. Because, restoring old cars is overdone. You know what a lot of people don't do is build a car from scratch. Like make all the parts. Everything. And show it on YouTube. Just to prove it can be done. I'm talking make it all street legal and everything. I'm talking have a title, and you will be the make and model. Your name. That's what, It's like you could call it the Ultra Dice 64 Model 1. Half sedan, half pickup. Okay, that's already done. You got the Ranchero, you got the Chevy El Camino, and you got the Subaru made something similar too. I forget what it's called, but there's been a few. But yeah, that could be done too. You could go a little oversized on the pickup and a little smaller on the cab, or if you want extended cab with a little like Chevy Love size pickup, but extend the cab, and then ooh, a freaking hydraulic ramp with a dump. Put a flat, smooth bed on it and coat it in Teflon. Like take a bunch of cutting boards to coat the whole freaking surface so that when you get a load and you lift, it just slides right the fuck off. Put a big winch at the front of the lift and a little roller, like a debris screen roller over the top. And then do like one of those lift gates in the back that you could roll something on it and lift it up into the truck without needing a dolly and all that, like hoist and shit. Yeah, that would be fun, but that would all be just the simple shit. The hard part would be, the fun part, what I would really enjoy doing would just be building a motor from scratch. Like, how are we going to make this thing go? Like, forget what the frame all does. It's how are you going to take chunks of metal and turn gas explosions into, or not even necessarily gas. Maybe you don't even want to use gas. Maybe you want to use an engine that runs on multiple fuels. What if you made like an external combustion turbine motor where the drive shaft was powered by a series of turbines, and when you freaking wind it up, it sound like a turbo intake. Like the motor would sound like turbos. Super high-pitched whine. Your engine would sound like that, but like times 6 or 8. Instead of revving out at 7,000 RPMs, it'd be revving out at like 30,000 RPMs. That'd be fun. You'd have to build a custom gearbox for it too. Because they don't make a transmission that's made to rev that high for regular cars. But think about it, if you had a combustion chamber that's separate from the engine, and say it flash boils steam with multiple fuels, you could have all kinds of different fuels running in the same turbines. Man, what do you want to run it on today? Kerosene? Let's tune it, put it on the kerosene setting. Oh, you're running it on propane. Okay, let's put it on the propane setting. You want to run it on gas? Oh, okay, we'll turn that sucker bitch way down. You know, you want to run it on alcohol? No problem. You know, like, what do you want to run it on? Charcoal? Okay, we can add on that. Put a little barbecue grill in the back. A big barbecue grill. Yo, wouldn't it be cool if you throw some steaks on the grill and the same fire that's cooking your grill is heating your flash steam and powering your turbines to run your car down the road, and when you get there your steak's done and Hello, Susan. Yeah, if anybody wants to hear me sing, there's a link down there. Well, it's not a link, it's an app called Star Maker you get free, and that's my user ID is Captain Kedge a lot, because I'm known for kedging a lot. I figure since I'm not getting a bunch of money on the Cash App, I'll throw a little different link up there so people can laugh at my singing. My karaoke off my phone. I just did one today is what brought it to mind. I just did Stone's, what is it, Stone Sour Through Glass. I'm not allowed to do that on YouTube. My channel will get blocked. I put some of the songs on here and they gave me a big warning and took them down, and don't do that no more. Oh, apparently singing karaoke on YouTube is like a goddamn crime. But now this app, they got the rights to use the songs and all that, royalty, whatever, like, you know, so you're free to go freaking sing whatever the hell is there that they have available. I guess it's totally legal if I promote their app for them to get people to go listen to it. So I just got it off of what do you call it? I downloaded it off of Play Store. Yeah, you got cover artists that play and get paid for it doing other people's songs. But yeah, I can't sing some karaoke on my phone to YouTube on my channel with my own voice. I thought the fact that it was my voice made it okay for me to do, and especially the fact that I'm not like this is not a freaking paid presentation, bro. But I guess if YouTube ever monetized me, then it does. That's probably where it runs into a problem. I don't know. Maybe those cover artists get permission from the artist or something, or they gotta wait for the artist to die, like the Guess Who is like the Who cover band. And they actually, I don't know if you've ever heard them, but they actually do an amazing job of covering the Who. Like they sound a lot like them. At least they did to me anyway. That was a good band, man. They went out too soon. Oh man, I'll tell you, that is nice. Even when I'm sitting up in warm, I got my feet sitting in cold breeze. Oh, it's just no longer sweltering hot here. All right, Max, I'll keep the phone open for a minute. There's only 4 people in here, and I think the storm's passed, but yeah. Why not? I had an evening coffee, so I'm a little wired. I ran out of coffee this morning. I was down to I didn't even have a full coffee this morning. I had a coffee flavored bean tea. Coffee bean tea this morning, so I had to get my coffee fixed this evening, and that probably wasn't very wise because you know how that does with your sleep. I don't know about you, but it does me. Yeah. I have it cooling for as long as these batteries will last. Oh, I got the thermal paste in. See, this was the prototype over here on the right. Now, when I build the one on the left, I'm going to do it a little differently. You see, I'm going to start out with some aluminum sheet metal and cut it to fit with aviation snips to make the ducts out of solid aluminum sheet metal. Okay? And that's also scavenged. And then I'm going to insulate the outside of that. I'll make a 4x5 duct or a 5x5 duct, and then instead of just taking a whole module out of a cooler, I'm going to actually put it together piece by piece and have a big, huge heat sink on the cold side, on the inside. I'm going to double up the size of the heat sink so I can get more tubing in them. Get this side built to the max, use a brand new Peltier unit with cooling paste, and get it, I'll have it all sealed and insulated perfectly and fit into the boat just so. Have the duct come over here. That's going to cool my electronics too, without getting them all moist. And then I'll probably go ahead and take this other side apart and, tighten it up like the second one. But I needed to build it just to get it going as proof of concept and see just whether it's even worth building, putting all the effort into doing it right. I figured, well, let me build this because I have all the parts to do it. And you know what I spent on this whole thing? What I spent that I didn't already have on hand or scavenge. I bought a $10 roll of aluminum tape and an $8 trifold foam board poster board from Walmart. Oh, I bought some RTV silicone, which I haven't used yet. But that's going on the final build to seal it. Like I said, this isn't even siliconed yet. just to show you how not sealed it is. But look, this is, I built that entire unit with one of these poster boards. It's not real thick, okay, but it was $8 for that trifold, and this is the other half of it that I haven't used yet. So I have enough foam to build the other side, but rather than use that cheap ass thin foam, what I want to do is go ahead and use some real good purple board, the sturdy stuff, you know, a little thicker with the actual sheet metal aluminum fitted ductwork, so that there's just connection to all the heat sinks that I mount into the cold side will be touching that metal and pulling heat from them real quickly. That's the whole key, is the more metal I can get in the cold side, and the more chambers that I build up and pull cold from, or pull heat from, and cool that chamber, the colder the whole setup gets with less energy. So anyway, it's a design in the making. But hey, yes, you can build a little trimaran canoe and have air conditioning on it that runs on the solar that comes off your roof, you know, in a little small set of, modest set of batteries. Like I said, right now, this whole setup's running on 122 amp hours, and that's really not much. All right, one's 100, yeah, I got one's just a flat 100 amp hour house bank, and then the one that I have started building piece by piece, I'm building a battery bank $20 at a time. And that's only 7.5 amp hours per cell. But it's awesome because they're small cells. They're $20 a freaking head. They got the right tabs already on them. And like, yeah, there's no BMS required. And yeah. Oh, they fit fit just perfectly into a little crate, and they're stackable. The only thing you got to do is, you know, after you get a few of them wired together, put another layer on top. You need to fuse each layer and use heavier gauge wire each time you add another set, you know. So basically each bank is going to have to be wired into a bus bar on each crate and then fused from there. So that, yeah, that's another thing. I don't dare run this cooling system when I'm not here, because it's all janky as fuck right now. Like, excuse my French, but this is all, you don't leave these freaking exposed wires hanging and dangling, and, you know, in a saltwater environment, running unattended. Like, I don't, not for a second. So I need to get it all where it's all, you know, dummy proofed to the point where I can run it when I'm not here. That way, when I come back, see, the majority of the cooling's done during the day when the sun's on the panels, and I'm not trying to cool the boat off desperately with all the energy I have left at the end of the day. You know, if I come back at the end of the day and the boat's already cool, then I may want to turn the AC down a little bit and conserve that energy through the night just for my house and lights and phone and stuff, you know, entertainment, because it's already trapped enough cold in here. The sun going down, you see what I'm getting at? You know, I want to get the most out of those days where the nights aren't so hot. Yeah, this stuff doesn't, I don't even have any kind of thermostat controls on it. Like, I'm literally waking up, I'm sitting up every hour or two and putting my hand on the heating unit on the hot side, just to make sure it's not too hot. You know, like that's how I'm controlling the heat, the output. You know, it's like, okay, I reach over here. That feels pretty good right now. It's hot, but I can hold my hand on it steady without getting burnt. For okay, it gets a little uncomfortable on the soft side of my hand. You know, after about 10 seconds, that's fine. I add that water cooling to it, and it's going to pull heat a lot faster. That will drastically increase the efficiency of this unit by cycling some water through those hot fins and down into the water next to my boat. I just got to be careful that I'm going to have to put some kind of lip in front of that copper tubing to prevent anything from snagging on it as I sail, you know. No, Maxwell, it's not raining. Those are just some little drops of water falling from the sky. Yeah. Sorry, I'm being a smart ass today. I know here we go. Give you a little better view. A little less bucket in the view. Right. Well, also why I'm not going with lithium ion batteries. All right. I know a lot of people swear by them, but the amount of hassle you have to put into battery management systems and fire suppression system on a boat, it's the danger of fire with lithium increases dramatically on a boat because of the reaction between. It's not so much that it's more likely to catch fire, it's that if it does, you're in a water environment that's extremely reactive to lithium. And once one of those fires goes out of control, it starts a chain reaction that nothing on this boat can put out. And the boat would not survive it. Like, the fire is so hot it melts steel, and like, it's not just a fire, it's a chemical reaction that's extremely exothermic. And it starts producing its own oxygen and like getting incredibly, it's just insane. I don't want that on the boat. So I'm just going with good old lead acid, and I don't need a BMS on every cell. I just have a WPM. Costs $20 for 400 watts of management. I mean, 24 volts, I think it's like 15 amps or something. I don't know. I have to look at the freaking specs on it. I haven't even bothered. I did the math at one point and figured I could. It's, you know, it's rated for 400 watts at 24 volts. But I'd probably keep it to 200 or 300 on each and just have individual WPMs because they're cheap, and I'd rather have redundancy and like have one doing less than its max capacity than trying to overstrain it to its max. You know, I don't like having my electronics maxed out. You know, even an inverter, you got to power something that takes 200 watts. You don't go buy a 200 watt inverter. You get a 240 watt inverter, you know, or at least a 220. If you're looking at peak wattage, you know, like you get at least 15, 20, 30% over what it calls for. So that unit's not straining to its max and putting out the max amount of heat and all its electronics all fully loaded to the brink, you know. You let it run cool. Like, this is like your processor on your computer. There's neat little tricks that you can overclock a processor and make it run faster than it's designed to run. But you also find that processor starts getting really hot. So if you're going to overclock a processor, you better upgrade the cooling system first. You know? I'll tell you how I did that one time. I took and restored an old desktop crate one time when I was in Colorado, up in the mountains where it was always cold, and I was in a little trailer that had a little wood burning stove in it. And half of the year, instead of firing up that wood burning stove, I could keep that closed off and I could use my computer to warm the room, because I ran a server highly overclocked, and I ran a duct from outside through a HEPA filter through my window. I made a custom duct that went into the back intake on the computer and went through all the electronics after going through desiccant to dry it out first. Went through all the electronics to cool them, and then blew out the front of the computer. And I noticed that it started heating the room up in the spring and fall. Like, it wouldn't quite do it in the dead of winter, but I could really overclock that computer in the dead of winter. The only key was I had to shut the window and tune it down before I shut it off, and run it for a while at normal speeds to let it cool down. And otherwise it would pull dew onto itself. Like, if I let it shut down with the window open, the vent open, it would get everything in the computer wet with dew, moisture. So yeah, I'd shut the window, vent, because I had a little valve on it where I just shut the vent, freaking tune the machine down and let it stop blowing hot air, and then I could shut it down. But yeah, I was serving movies to a whole community of people through that freaking 2.5 gig processor that was just made to surf the web. Was running it as a back end, so anybody could just pop up, open the drive, and watch whatever they wanted on there. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different people on the network, 5 different living spaces on the same home network. Yeah, I know, blah, blah, blah. Sounds like the babblings of a total nerd. Maxwell, I was in Walmart today and they had a 5,000 BTU window shaker for $179. And man, if you got a window you can slide open and throw some freaking foam in the open space that the AC doesn't take up, seal it up with some aluminum tape or some silicone, man, you can cool. You know, sometimes that's cheaper than trying to get the whole central rebuilt, is to just put a couple of window shakers in a couple of different key places. You know, I mean, me personally, I'd take advantage of the main unit because I know how to tinker with it. Like, man, I wouldn't care if that unit ain't working. I'm gonna make that thing work one way or another. If I got to gut the whole system and turn it into a geothermal cooling unit, I will. But I'll find a way to get my house cool. If I got a central AC, that just makes it easier. All you got to do is get that expansion coil cold and blow some air across it. And one way or the other, and that's going to lower the temperature of your house. But Maxwell, I don't understand. If you have a shop vac and a wet rag and you can go out with it and suction out that drain, look, a shop vac, you can unhook the hose from the suction side and connect it to the exhaust side. Or, I mean, from the, yeah. No, you leave it on the suction side. Go outside and stuff a rag around that drain pipe and put the dang shop vac hose up to it and run it like that. Just like hold it steady to where you keep the rag from flying into the shop vac, but seals up the, because you have a little 3/4 inch pipe or 1/2 inch pipe, whatever it is, the drain, and it may have an elbow on the end. That's fine. The elbow should not be glued on. You should be able to just twist it a little and pop it right off by hand. Okay? So the extension cord isn't long enough. You know where the drain pipe is outside though, right? So it's just a matter of getting an extension cord and doing it. I'm telling you, you got to get that drain unclogged. And that's the quickest way to do it, usually. I used to be an AC guy. Like I did that until I figured out that I was bored of it. The landlord is Maxwell is the landlord. Yeah, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure, but I'm pretty sure. I remembered you saying that. Yeah, well, that's got you a big step above everybody else. You know, honestly though, I would just go with a cheap window shaker unit and then reduce the living space that you need until you can get another one. Then I would go into some, man, I don't know how technically skilled you are, but if you can get a hold of some Apex tubing, you know, some of that vinyl Apex tubing, and you can find a couple good spots to dig down into the ground and run some coils of it through the ground, man, you can cool that outer coil with geothermal energy and drastically reduce the amount of energy it requires to cool your house. It'll still run the same way. It'll still have the same compression and expansion and everything, you know, of gases in the unit, but instead of venting out to the air, it'd be cycling through water. So you're basically turning that compression coil on the outside into a heat exchanger that's cooled by cycled water that goes down into the earth to cool and back up. And I'm telling you, water pulls heat off that coil much faster than air. Much faster. And you're going to find that unit will cool your house about 40% more efficiently. Okay. Okay, I gotta start sharing some YouTube channels then, because I know some people that explain it really well. Like, there's one guy that he's a professor that just does some really cool projects. He's with his students all the time, and he corroborates with people from MIT and like DuPont and shit. Like he's really brilliant. I know a few people I should probably Man, I can't think of the name right offhand. I should write these YouTube channels down, because, you know, most of these YouTube channels are showing a lot of bullshit, but there's some of them that are showing real true chemistry, physics, you know, all kinds of neat electronics. Like, these guys are the real deal, some of them. And showing you things that you can use, you know, around, that you can easily source. That's the whole thing, is like, these people are showing you how you can take what these big corporations make and build it yourself more efficiently with, you know, cheap locally sourced items. Yeah, well, you know, that's another good reason to quit drinking. You might think straighter and be able to come up with some things. It's amazing what your mind can do when you're not dousing it with deadly chemicals. Shit. Got a trail of ants. I'm gonna have to do some cleaning, some spring cleaning, and get some ant baits before they take over my boat and start eating me alive. Ants are no joke, man. They'll be all right. It's happened before. It's what happens when you live out in the wilderness. You get spiders, and I try to not use a bunch of chemicals because I like to let the spiders eat the bugs and stuff, and, like, you know, at least the ones that don't harm me. I don't mind the frogs occasionally stopping by. They can't get in my food. I don't. Oh man, oh, it feels good to get down here in the cool air. Oh boy, let me tell you what. I love it. I love this. I love that I'm sitting in the swamps in the sun in the Florida summer and just sitting here chilling. I got 150 watts of solar and like less than 130 amp hours of battery, and I'm sitting here getting chilled with my homemade air chiller. I freaking love this. On my homemade trimaran, sailing trimaran. Oh, this is going to be radical when I get it built. It's going to be so freaking cool when I'm done with this boat. Everybody's going to want one. Be like, where can I get one of those? That's badass, man. Nah, nobody would want this one because it's so janky. Even when it's all done, it's gonna look all like lopsided a little bit, and like you're gonna look at it and from a distance it'll look cool. From a distance it'll look really factory, but still super unique. It'll get people's attention to come over closer to get a better look at it, you know. But then once they get up close, it'd be obvious that it's homemade, because it's like it's put together with no form and no design, just freehand. You know, like how do you make the left and the right amas match? I got one curving one way and one curving the other way. Like, I'll see which one works better when it leans that way when I'm sailing. I might like it one way or the other. Like later, I couldn't decide. I wanted to curve this way or that way, so I made one go this way and one go that way. I'm like, hey, when I sail it, I'm going to see which one I like better when it heels into it. So far, I haven't really noticed a difference because I think most of that odd curvature is above the water line, so it doesn't really. All right, Max. Yeah, it does. I guess I shouldn't. I should. I don't mean to sound like I'm trying to make light or diminish your back pain. It's just this thing that's been an ever-present part of my conscious life all since my 20s, is like every second of every day, lower back clenching. Every time I go to get up or sit down, I'm having to like um I have to brace my spine for it. And I can't lift like I used to. Man, I used to lift. Man, you wouldn't believe the weight I would lift and carry across a job site. Not anymore. I gotta go get 2 helpers. When I lift that up there, I'll put the screw in it. Hold it up there. Yeah, it's frustrating. Oh, man. I haven't had a single surgery on my spine. I'm told I really just need spinal decompression therapy, and I need the one vertebrae. They can't replace a vertebrae. That's the problem. Like, they can replace a disc, but I'm kind of waiting because they're getting better and better at shit, and maybe when I get so old that it's like, man, damned if I do, damned if I don't, might as well, kind of thing. you know yeah. I had to settle for a traction device and a couple of years of therapy. Walking on crutches, and eventually getting to where I could walk on a cane for a little while. Like, it was like a block or two at a time at first. That's what got me out of construction and got me out of backpacking. And like, I'm like, I can't stop traveling and cruising and touring the wilderness, but I'm carrying my gear in a boat now. Still somewhat of a minimalist. Uh, Check the thermostat. Ten seconds on the back of the hand, no problem. As if it starts getting a little hot, I just bump the outer fan up a little notch. It's only on the first lowest setting. So I could probably, the problem is if I do that, then it runs out of power sooner. So I try to balance the heat reduction. I'm trying to balance that. Like I said, I think it'd be a lot less power to cycle some water a few feet through it, down into the salt water heat exchanger. Instead of running a fan over there, or that big fan, run a 5-inch 12-volt fan. See, that's a 5-volt fan, so it's running a lot higher amperage than a 12-volt fan would. Instead of running 3 amps or 4 watts, I could be running milliwatts on a brushless 5-inch fan there, and then cycling a little water with another, maybe half amp water pump. Idea is, man, they're not going to build something to sell you on the market for you to just go stick in a window or install on your house that's this low energy, because it's just not practical on your house. Like, you need it to cool it quick and be efficient, and this is not efficient. It's just so low energy. I mean, I guess you could call it efficient because it captures all that cold in the boat hole itself, but your house is built from the bottom up with all the leaks at the bottom of the doors and windows, and this boat is built where it traps everything from the hull up to the rails is below the heat, so it traps it down low. It's like if you open a freezer door, all the cold spills out because it goes downward. But this boat has got the cold trapped from the bottom up, so the heat goes down and stays in it. There's no door in the hull opening up, letting the cold out, rather. Wait, your AC unit is in the cellar. What do you mean, the AC unit? What do you have, a portable unit or a window shaker, or what? Are you talking about moving the main unit? I don't understand. Because if the expansion coil is in the basement, that's probably the best place for it. Because that's where it's gonna cool most efficiently down there. Where it expands, it's already cooler down there than the rest of the house, and as that cold air gets blown upward, it gets warmer as it's cooling the house. It's absorbing heat from the house, and so it rises from there. You use less energy pushing it up as it warms and expands, you see, than it is to push it down. Like the in-floor air conditioning is going to push cold air from the floor upward and force the hot air up to the ceiling. If you can have the hot air intake at the highest point and the cold air coming in from the lowest points in the floor, then you're going to have a system that doesn't require as much blower to cycle the air and pump the heat out, because it's going to just naturally cycle. It don't naturally cycle itself, but that the nature of cold air to push downward and warm air to push upward in a room, you're taking advantage of that, so it requires less energy to cycle it with the blower. And it's going to push the hot air out of that room much quicker that way. Most AC units are set up where it comes out of the ceiling, and the cold air drops down, you know, and then it's pulling hot air from the bottom in a closet somewhere from the low side. And it doesn't make sense to me when all the hot air is up at your freaking ceiling in your house. If you were pulling from the top and then filling from the bottom, you're going to immediately feel cold air in the whole room, even when the top of the room is full of hot air still. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so you got a portable. Oh man. It has a duct you attach to the back and pipe it out. Is that how that one works? Susan, you want to look at how many BTUs does that unit put out? And look at how many watts it runs on. I'm telling you, this is going to matter throughout the summers from year to year, throughout the however 5-10 years that thing works. I'm going to tell you what, those portable units with the duct in the back that you pipe the hot air out are the very least efficient that you can possibly have. Like, believe it or not, the most efficient units you can buy these days are just window shakers. You can get a window shaker unit, you pop into a window, insulate around it, and you have the expansion coil on the inside and the compression and compressor on the outside. So it has very little space to travel to get outside to pump that heat out. And they're able to run these things at about 450 watts and pulling 5,000 BTUs of heat out of your house. Welcome here, Candy C. Yeah, we just been talking about that because I just built an air cooler into my boat that runs on the solar and the batteries. And I was explaining how I did it and how I'm improving on it as I get more parts to put it together and make it more efficient. But right now it's pretty nice, man. It's I don't know. In fact, I'm laying here just chilling in this boat, and it's nice and chilly. I'm gonna turn it off for a minute and see if I turn the Peltier unit off completely right now. Okay. Now I can shut this fan off and just have this fan blowing on me. I want to see how long it takes to get uncomfortably hot again, or if it... Let me see what a difference it makes. Alright, now mind you, there's 3 separate cold chambers in there that it's going to have to empty out of cold air. So it's still blowing cold air for several... It's going to be blowing cold air for several minutes after I shut the cooling unit off. Still cold air. See, all that metal in there, all the metal inside the lining of the duct has got this thermal mass that's had all the heat energy drawn out of it. And now it's pulling heat energy back into it. I'm just kind of timing how long it takes to return to neutral. Okay, I'd say it's pretty much, yeah, it's not cooling anymore. That's just regular fan air. I mean, the fan's cool now. I don't need the cooler at this point. I think the fan is efficient enough to just keep me cool for the rest of the night. If the sun stay, like the sun's going down. Let me see. What time is it? 7:45. Yeah. So that's really the ticket, is to just, if I can trap the cold in, trap the heat out, and cool it throughout the hottest part of the day, then I'm not using up power at night. Oh, but damn, man, it means I gotta deploy this mosquito net. Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm thrilled that I can run that off the batteries and solar. And if I ever get really power intensive, like I plan to get, I plan to have a lot more energy once I build my own generator. See, this boat be sail power, but I want to convert it to where it's making energy, like, more efficiently than these solar panels can do. And in order to do that, I just got to run it on solar until I can get to that point, because that's going to take a few years of putting shit together, I think. Like, unless I get some kind of freaking corroboration with somebody, or sponsorship, that I can really plug it. I don't want to take sponsorship without help, because I need freaking more hands on it if I get the money, so I can get it done and show it in a reasonable time. So I can't really explain what I'm doing. People start putting their money into it, they want to see some results, and I can't really explain what I'm doing until it's done. Anyway, little by little, I prove what I can do, and somebody's gonna go, wow, let me see what else this guy can do with a little funding. And let's build him a shop and a lab and see what he can do. Like, if he could do this on nothing. I just did this with scrap parts and a poster board and a roll of tape. old, no longer functioning Peltier coolers, thermoelectric coolers. I took all the heat sinks out of them, and the Peltier plates, and the freaking, I only scavenged one fan because all the others were, well, I scavenged two and I broke one. I scavenged three and I broke two. Let me be honest, they were old. Oh, I don't want to put a bunch of money into this, buying all these parts new before I even know if it's worth building. So I scavenged the parts and built one. And now that I've ran it, I'm like, damn sure worth building and improving. Hell yeah. I will put the money into this, because this is a whole different idea. There's no compressed gases in this system right now. And I don't think I'm going to need to put any in it. I really don't. This bitch, you're going to get cold. So anyway, yeah. Pretty damn cool for a loose, thrown together freaking poster board duct, man. This is pretty damn cool. I'm thrilled, man. See, this weekend be a good time to mess around and like build the other duct right, get all the dimensions just right. I got some aluminum and some aviation snips, and yeah. I might just have an air cooler slash water maker slash like shower warmer slash heater for the winter. It does. Even if I go South Florida, it sometimes gets cold for a day or two, even down south. Which, by the way, I got all my legal issues. The reason I didn't, I'm going to level with you guys. The reason I didn't go to Key West last year is because I had to settle some issues with a court problem I had that I forgot about or didn't know about, whatever, and now it's handled. And I was worried if I went through that county, they might freaking rope me off. So now I got that county off my back. I'm like making them payments and shit. and and I can sail through there, no problem. So yeah, it'd be cool to sail through there again and go say hey to all my friends on the East Coast. Again, I don't want to go. I don't know. The East Coast is just such a different beast. Like, I kind of want to get this boat more 100% and looking like more presentable before I take it back to the East Coast, because people just, man, is like, I don't know, man. They just got issues on the East Coast with freaking ultra wealthy douchebags with overgrown egos, and they do some lawfare over there, man. Like they attack you with the law. You're not breaking any laws. They just send them after you anyway because they're rich and they can. Like man, Susan, that's awesome. I'm not calling you man. I'm saying, it's an expression. Oh man, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Every view helps me get closer up the algorithm. You've watched all the videos that are public. Keep in mind, I probably got a lot of videos that are not public that I want to go through and just, like, I want to save them mostly for members only, because it's mostly chat, But I also want to clip out the cool spots where a fish jumps or whatever shows up here. If I catch any of that on camera, I clip that out. Or little excerpts that are, general public should know about. That little piece of information that might help somebody along the way someday. I'll pull those clips out. But it seems like a lot of endless dribble when we're just chatting sometimes. And it's like, that should be more a members only thing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to explore on the West Coast too. And there's a lot to be said. There's a lot of islands between here and Tampa that I never took the time to explore when I was coming down the other way years ago. And so it's kind of, I'm drawn to Tampa just because it's where I very first started sailing from. And I just kind of want to go back up there and see how things have changed. You know, like my favorite bar hangout kind of turned into a shit show. And I quit hanging out there. And then a new guy came into town, bought it, and really cleaned it up and did a bunch of renovating. And he just, I don't want to say it turned into, like, it was a great place, but the old man that owned it was just really getting old and slipping. Like, his mind was slipping. And it was a great place, a real successful place, but it just, it was getting, anyway, the new guy came. I don't want to talk bad. That guy passed away, and the new guy that bought it really, I'd like to see, because he was doing a lot of work renovating, renewing the docks and the whole building, just upgrading it. The patio, the whole area was just way more amenable and more modern. So I'd like to go back there because he seemed like a pretty decent fellow. You know, uh, I liked his family. He's a family dude. Seemed to have his head on pretty well as far as I could tell. I don't know. There were some really beautiful springs up there, and there's some cool spots that I used to go stop by on the way. There's just kind of a little river tour we used to do every weekend where we'd cruise up the river and we'd stop at this place and that, and you know some of the best scenes I've ever seen on the waterways were there. That's where that family of dolphins used to visit me every day, and where I saw that eagle and the hawk fighting over the mullet, and like all these stories, a lot of them came from right over there. you know Not all of them, but it's really where I started getting the whole thing of, man, selling my canoe, you know, sailing it up and down the river to save time and energy. You know, that's where my first canoe trimaran got inspired, was on that river. So it's also where my mentor's family lives. One of my mentors, sailing mentors, really did a lot to help me get started in sailing. And he taught me a lot. He gave me a lot of knowledge in the years preceding me sailing out of there that really has helped me out over the years. Oh man, like, taught me some invaluable stuff. And he's also passed away. Like, that old man used to drive halfway across the state on his Harley just to visit me and see how I was doing, and like, fire one up with me for old time's sake. He would drive freaking 200 miles to come visit me, whatever port I happened to be in, and just like shoot the shit for an hour or two and then take off. It's just, I miss the guy, man. Wish I could have been there before he passed. I wish I could have said goodbye. But yeah, I don't know, man. I probably don't. I probably didn't need to see that. Like, man, that would have tore me up. Yeah, I don't think I was in the right place of mind at the time to go through that. As selfish as that sounds. I mean, I would have if I would have been there and could have been there, but man, kind of a mixed thing. I don't know how to describe that. shot of some clean water. Tap water not so bad after I boil it, but god dang, it's nice to have just some fresh drinking water once in a while. Well, folks, the sun's going down. Sky's starting to change colors. And I think I'm going to settle in for the night and enjoy this cool breeze I got blowing down here. I got all this cool air cycling. It's been good, folks. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all your input, everybody. Sorry, Max, if I don't make it back. You didn't make it back, rather. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Dorcas, Susan, Joe, thanks for being here today. I think that's Kenny. Appreciate you dropping in. Until next time, be kind and be kind to yourselves. Signing out.